We are delighted that we still have Tuesdays with Charlie. I know you don't like to talk about yourself, Charlie, but congratulations on your retirement. And are you going to write a book?
No.
Okay, here's my news question. Senate bill yesterday passes cutting off funds to this group called Acorn. Now, we got that bill passing. We have the embarrassing video of Acorn staffers giving tax advice on how to set up a brothel with 13-year-old hookers. It has everything you could want, corruption and sleazy action at tax-funded organizations. It's got government ties, but nobody's covering that story. Why?
I don't even know about it. You've got me at a loss. I don't know. But my goodness, if it's got everything, including sleaziness in it, we should talk about it this morning.
This is the American way.
or maybe that's when you just leave to the cables.
Well, I think that this is a huge issue because there's so much funding that goes into this organization, and it's a multi...
I know we've done some stories about Acorn before, but this one I don't know about.
Jake Tapper did some blogging on it. I know he's at least blogged once on this scandal.
You guys are really up on the website.
Now, Charlie Gibson is either pleading ignorance, incompetence, instead of bias. He's claiming he doesn't know about this. Now, let's examine this. The top news guy at ABC, this is the anchor for Wordle News tonight, did not know about Acorn, which means he didn't know that the census kicked Acorn out of the operation. That has been news. Did they not cover that either at ABC? And Charlie Gibson didn't know that the Senate voted to stop all payments to Acorn? Why? Why did Charlie Gibson not know these things? Is he too busy tracking the day-to-day activities of Sarah Palin with his reading glasses halfway down his nose? Remember that arrogant, condescending interview he did with Sarah Palin? Must be too busy tracking her daily movements here as a private citizen to be aware of what's happening in the country. Do we really believe he didn't know? Do we really believe his plea of ignorance rather than bias? Boy, you guys are really up on the webpage. I frankly think that Roma here was quite restrained. I would have been, if I had been talking to Charlie Gibson, he told me he didn't know, but I would have been incredulous. But ABC, Citadel, it's somewhat still in the family. Now, from BigGovernment.com, Mike Roman, last week, we saw some pretty disturbing activities revealed in the undercover footage from Acorn's housing Baltimore office. By any measure of conduct, the actions of Acorn's employees should never have happened. It turns out the actions shouldn't have happened for another very simple reason. Acorn can't legally operate in the state of Maryland. By the way, this is Obama's America. And I have to tell you, Acorn is Obama. Obama is Acorn. Just like Van, what was his last name? Van Jones is Obama. I mean, Obama trained Acorn people back in the 80s when he started community organizing. He trained them. He had a big meeting with them during the transition period. We're going to be involved in every one of you. Put together the agenda for the next presidency of the United States. I mean, he had a meeting with Acorn. I mean, he is Acorn. You cannot separate the two. Now, according to documents that are attached here to the BigGovernment.com story, Acorn Inc., the parent organization of all things Acorn, and they got 300 or so different organizations with different names, all under the and then there's Acorn International. Acorn it's freaking everywhere. But according to the documents attached to the story here, Acorn Inc. forfeited its corporate charter in Maryland in 2006. Acorn Housing forfeited its corporate charter in 2008. Thus, any Acorn office in the state of Maryland is potentially operating illegally, and yet the Maryland Attorney General has made noises about prosecuting the intrepid journalists who uncovered the misdeeds of the Acorn employees. Maybe the guy should focus instead on how Acorn was able to operate without a license in his state. Yesterday, Senator Mike Johans of Nebraska Republican introduced an amendment to the HUD and Transportation Appropriation Bill to strip Acorn of all federal funding. Now, a week ago, he wouldn't have gotten that amendment to the floor. Ed Morrissey points this out at hotair.com. But after 3 straight days of the video exposés at biggovernment.com of Acorn offices in Washington, New York City, and Baltimore, he got an impressive showing. The Senate passed his amendment 83-7. Now, Charlie Gibson didn't know this. The senators knew all about it, but Charlie Gibson at ABC World News tonight didn't know any of this had happened. Here are the 7 that voted for continuing funding, federal funding of Acorn. Dick Durbin, Illinois. Roland Burris, Illinois. Robert Casey, Pennsylvania. Kirsten Gillibrand, New York. Pat Leakey Leahy, Vermont. Bernie Sanders, Vermont. And Sheldon Whitehouse, Rhode Island. So as Ed Morrissey humorously observes, I guess we can assume that Illinois and Vermont are especially sympathetic to child whoring pimp assistance.